all love. So we are not an opponent of Christianity. We are the true lover of Jesus Christ, and we invite Christians to look at that great hero in religious history from our eyes and revere him the more and love him the more, not at the cost of unity of God, but in perfect agreement with the unity of God. Have I answered your question? Thank you.
We invite Mr. Keith Wakely from Wimbledon. He has 2 questions, please.
Thank you. The Bible tells us, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." What is your interpretation of the pure in heart? And the second one, I read in the Times about 2 weeks ago that a charity was buying slaves' freedom in Sudan. And if I may just read the first paragraph, a British charity working in Sudan is buying back Christian slaves kidnapped by Arab militias and forced to become Muslims.
They are being forced to become Muslims?
Yes.
By whom?
By the Arab militias.
So I do not subscribe to that
And
forced conversion, and this is why we are made subject of persecution by the mainstream Muslims. We do not subscribe to such views because we consider such views as absolutely against Islamic teachings and against the fundamental teachings of Islam, particularly.
I rather felt that you would answer like that.
Yes.
But are there any other forms of slavery in Islam or not?
But we'll come to that question in full later on. First, with the first question.
Yes.
The first question was perhaps, what is the meaning of the purity of heart?
Purity of heart.
Right.
Thank you.
You see, the purity of heart is not a religious term belonging to a certain religion or a certain place or a certain area or time. Purity of heart has always been the subject and the most essential subject of discussion of all such faiths which term themselves as religions, even those who do not believe in God or apparently do not believe in God, like Buddhists, like Jainists and some others, who have gone away from, like the philosophies of Taoism, etc. They're also referred to as godless philosophies. Although I disagree with that, that's a different thing altogether. What I mean to say is, as they present religion, the central point is always purification of heart. How can you meet this end? By what means? It is there that the religious teachings differ. Those who believe in God, they also believe that without your coming into some sort of communion with God, purification of heart cannot be achieved. To live with God, to live in God, means that you follow His attributes, such attributes which are within the human capacity to follow and acquire. So this also explains the meaning of man having been created after the nature of God. God has created man ultimately to become good. If the basic fundamental design of man was not good, it would not have been possible for man ever to become good. So the purity of heart is to return to the original design. That is why even those religions who do not believe in God, they somehow acquire this. What they have to do is, they have to delve deeper into their own nature. And they reach the same ultimate end of discovering an innate goodness in all human beings. So they say we have discovered the secret from within us. The religion says, no, in that exercise, you may even be misled by your own views and thoughts and cultural influences and the influences of the age, and you may think that you have reached the truth, but it has to be verified from an outer truth, by an outer truth. Without that, there cannot be a certainty regarding your having reached the source of truth or purification. In this regard, Islam has a very clear attitude and very logical and sensible attitude. In fact, you can't do away with it in any form. You have to agree because it's so logical. The founder of Ahmadiyya community, Hadhrat Mirza Tahir Ahmed, has written volumes on this subject, purity of heart. And he has likened it to all human faculties, which are all of them dependent on an outer reality which correlates with them. For instance, if the eyes are good and the sight is perfect and healthy, if there is no sun shining, no light coming from the heaven, they can't see. So inner truth is only to the extent of your being capable of receiving the outer truth. The ears can be absolutely healthy and perfect, yet if there is no vibration in the air, no sound, they won't hear anything. Taste, of course we can taste things if we are healthy, but there must be something to create the taste. Empty mouth and empty stomach cannot taste anything. So this is the explanation put forward by Hadhrat Mirza Tahir Ahmed, the founder of the Ahmadiyya community, in relation to inner truth and outer truth and their interrelationship. So the purity of heart is the sum total of these 5 senses, where they ultimately converge and ultimately create one single entity. If all the 5 senses are pure and healthy, and if they are in communion with the outer sources which are corresponding to them, then the heart is purified, without a shadow of doubt. Without it, it may be on way to purification. It may be innocent. But perfect purification, a purposeful purification cannot be achieved without the meeting together of inner truth and outer truth. That is what we understand by these terms, and I hope this will also be acceptable to many. Thank you. The second question was relating to
slavery and what forms of slavery does Islam have?
You see, Islam, as I have many times before explained, is misunderstood in many regards, also in respect of slavery. The Holy Prophet once said, how can you make a person slave whom God had given birth, whom God had created as a free person? So this is a very important declaration. No man has a right to enslave a person born free. But the matters do not end here. If you have inherited a system of slavery where others had enslaved people, rightfully or wrongfully, and where the society had accepted a form of transfer of this slavery through exchange of commodities or money, etc., then what should be the attitude? That is the second question. Islam did not do away with the inherited institution of slavery with one declaration that free all your slaves, because that would have done greater damage to the society if it was attempted in one single stroke. It's all the economy of the period was so interwoven with the system of slavery of that time that it would, in the name of goodness, it may ultimately end up in some evil rather than goodness. And